actually seeing that there's a way to gauge your progress. There's a way to determine if you're actually developing and growing. And the system that we use, that we even use, that we accustomed using, was initially with me was the 5% teaching, and then because you have to graduate through the process, and then introducing them to the Uhuru Shule, which is the liberation school that was developed by Brother Psyche. You actually can see. I said you can actually clock your development. You can clock your growth. You know what I mean? It's the one concrete way to determine if you're learning or if you're growing. So I would introduce them to the first two virtues, and I'm like, hey, if you can memorize this, you know, and I would run it to them. I would spit the virtue word for word with them, and they'll be pretty impressed because they be thinking it's impossible. I've never memorized any information in my life, and then I tell them like, bro, you just sat down at this table and ran 97 Gucci Mane songs word for word, beating on the tape without missing a beat. You can memorize this virtue. So when you put it in perspective, feeling like that, they're like, you right. I probably can. You know what I mean? Then it starts to, you know, with that process right there, you start to determine like a brother's level of determination. You know what I'm saying? His level of self-confidence, because a lot of brothers really lack is confident, is cocky and muscular as some of these dudes being or in the penitentiary. These dudes are terrified of any real work that requires sitting down, being patient, reading, writing, or learning. So I used to introduce them to the virtue. And I was like, hey, there's more. Because they thinking that once they got the virtues, they up the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They think I'm on one. I said, bro, I said there's a whole other universe waiting to open up to you with a little more dedication and time. So
yeah. Something epic again. Vintage. Save my heaven if you could just see through my hair. You got that? My days are numbered, read it somewhere in numbers. Oh, she told me it's the thing she not ordered to do that unsure. So free your will, free your grace, free your skill, free your face. Before I die, I wanna know how freedom tastes. Before I die, I wanna know how freedom tastes. Free your will, free your grace, free your skill, free your face. I was honest, swear I was wanted on every corner. I was locked away like a monster too many times. This time, can't even bring myself to write my people. This time, can hardly bring myself to write a sequel. Don't ever take life for granted, this life a cheat. Don't know how many days we got on this planet Ice, so be cool. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Man in the mirror is the shooter, I'm begging to be conducive. An uphill battle, a boat without a paddle, I float. Vampire in Dallas, like sleeping in Seattle. I know all these talents and gifts, and you giving up on me. So God keep bringing me back, like bitch, you stuck with me. What's up with me?
So let's start with the virtues. I'll admit I'm a little rusty myself, but I think I can kick number one. Let me see if I can kick number one still and be on point with it. Let me see. I got it right here, but I ain't supposed to read it. I don't want to. I think I'm cheating.
what?
My book raggedy too, boy.
Well, I'm talking. It's supposed to. Yeah. It's a manuscript.
I don't want you to say I'm cheating, so I'm putting that boy down. Put my coffee on top of it. So, control the thought, the ability to control your own mind and focus your thoughts constructively. One does this by controlling outside stimuli that one entertains. Things like the conversation you engage in, the music you listen to, what you read and what you watch on TV and what you read. This is the first step of mastery. To control your thought, you must properly organize your worldview. This will allow your mind to be structured, organized, and focused so that it can be a more sufficient weapon during your journey of life. You must question and analyze your current life philosophy and ask yourself if it has been a benefit or a hindrance to your progression. Another key to control the thought would be to meditate. Meditation is the organized practice of stillness and conscious awareness. Sometimes you can meditate on great ideas or words on a page. Other times you can meditate on nothing. The key is to control your ability to think. Did I miss something?
No, not at all. That was absolutely the first virtue.
All right, I thought I slipped up a little bit.
No, absolutely not.
I want you to think I didn't cheat.
For real.
Now what I did, I took belief out when they say you must question and analyze your current life philosophy. Originally, it had in parentheses belief. So I took that out because I felt like that wasn't necessary. And I think I done gave you version of the virtues.
Absolutely.
So that was out, and I know some people be like, "Oh, you left belief out." Well, belief was never meant to be quoted. That's why it was in parentheses.
No doubt.
Clarifying what life philosophy was to people who, as you just said, a lot of the brothers who had never at that time taken the time to learn long trails of information. A lot of the brothers, when we first started building with them, didn't understand a lot of these words. And that's why it was so important. That's why we broke down and built on how important it was to not only learn the virtue, to gain knowledge of it, and to gain the wisdom of the virtue, to be able to act it out in your character and your conversation and your responses to life, but to also gain understanding of the virtue. Meaning,
no doubt,
break it down and build on it in a way to start another person to gain the knowledge of it. So you
absolutely
went through 3 120s, which makes you 360 degrees. You know what I'm saying? And
Please,
the word and the virtue is placed there for a particular reason. It's there for a reason. Those words, like in the beginning when they say the ability to control your own mind, ownership denotes something.
No doubt.
You say that you own something, you're making a claim. Because if you don't own your mind, somebody else does. We understand that this society is predicated on the idea that somebody wants to take control, full control of your mind. Because if you control the mind of the mass of the people, then you control the entire society.
Absolutely.
People make society. And so our whole concept and idea of even building on the Uhuru Shule and building the structures of in the formats of the Uhuru Shule was to free a man from being a slave to being his own king, to being, being his own self-lord and master. You know, that was the whole goal of it. So the first line starts out with making a claim to control your own mind, or to claim ownership of your ability to think. Go ahead, brother. You can build it. You can build.
No doubt. You know, and people used to have an issue with that, the ability to control your own mind.
Yeah.
Focus your thoughts constructively. You know what I mean? Because the truth is, you know, coming from the backgrounds that we come from, people like to dictate to us what to do. And it's always easier to control somebody. It is. It's easier to control somebody else than it is to control yourself.
Yeah.
You can force somebody to do something. You can coerce somebody to do something. You can manipulate somebody into doing something. You know what I'm saying? Even though you have to have your own level of control of your own mind to do that to somebody else, when somebody is under that type of influence or that type of coercion or that type of force, they're not necessarily in control of their own mind. You know what I mean? Because, hey, I can dictate to you what to do and what not to do. You know what I mean? And I've read a lot of studies where teachers who teach financial literacy, who teach accounting and investing, they don't know how to invest. They can teach it, but they can't live it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're a master of the financial arts, but you're still living at the margin. You know what I mean? You're basically one paycheck away from being broke as a professor. So, you know, it's like I said, sometimes it's easier to control others than it is to control yourself. So what we do with the control of thought is like, let me take the ownership, like you said, of my own mind. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you know, and another issue that the brothers was having with it was controlling the outside stimuli. You know, like, well, at halftime, these brothers don't even know what stimuli is. I'm like, come on, man, think about anything that stimulates you. You know what I'm saying? Just recently, they passed out a stimulus check. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, this was used to make something flow again, to stimulate something, to jumpstart something. Yeah. You know what I mean? A stimuli is anything that activates something. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you gotta, you know, by controlling the outside stimuli that you entertain, the thing that you allow to stimulate your thinking, if you can discriminate or dictate those things right there, you can actually determine what goes in and what comes out of you. Yeah. So I think that the control of thought virtue, you know, you have to control that first. You know what I'm saying? Take control of your own mind, take control of your own thinking, and then you can start to determine what you let in and ultimately what you produce. Mm-hmm. You did? Yeah. So
a good thing to understand, and I'm gonna give a little history real quick, a little background with the 10 virtues of a student. Now, originally, the 10 virtues of a student can be found. Let me look. Hold on. This is not something that we made up necessarily.
Not at all.
You can find the 10 virtues of a student in books like, you can't see it come up.
There you go.
Our Valley Contribution to Civilization by Anthony Browder. Also in Stolen Legacy by George, I think it's
G.M. James.
yeah, George James, yeah. But originally what the 10 virtues of a student was this. And the ancient universities and ancient Kemet, when people used to travel from far and wide, from all over the world, because these was the first universities on the planet, and people wanted to participate in this learning. You got to think back. Now we take education for granted, but you got to think back where there was only a small population on the planet that actually had education, that actually could read, that actually could write, that actually been trained on how to think. We didn't have that, and a lot of places left their populace ignorant for the reason that I said in the beginning, for control, because they want to have ownership of the mind. And I think it was it Frederick Douglass that talked about it in his book that no educated man could properly be a slave. How does the quote actually go?
That's right. That's basically, there's no such thing as an educated slave.
There's no such thing as educated slaves. So you can't enslave a population if they're educated. But anyway, back to the point. So, but when you came to these universities to learn, what the master builders was looking for is they wanted to see these 10 virtues in you. It wasn't necessarily that you had to learn them and be able to recite them. They had to see these qualities in you before they even allowed you to come in as a student. They were looking at you and they were looking for control of thought. They were looking for control of action. They were looking for steadfastness. They were looking for these things if you identify with high ideas. They were looking for the evidence of a mission. They were looking for these virtues in you. And the word virtue comes from the Latin virtues, which literally means strength or manliness. So they saw these moral virtues as strength, or the things that made you a man. So you had 10 things in order to properly qualify as a man. So they look for these things. So when we created this system, this manhood education system, that's what the Uhuru Shule truly is. When this system was created, instead of looking for it in you, what we required brothers to show up with the willingness to submit to that type of instruction, to be able to recite, just like I just did, number one, from verbatim, from memory, to be able to recite it. Because it takes a certain level of dedication and discipline to take the time out to say, you know what, I'm going to learn this because I want the education that these brothers are offering to teach me. But one thing that we've learned is anything that you get for free, brothers don't value. So they had to work for it. They had to put in actual time for it. And so they had to show up with the willingness and the desire to learn this information, not only to learn it and be able to recite it, but then once they recited it and they were proud, like, yeah, okay, now what does all that mean? Then you know, and sometimes they would be just, you went and learned these words to recite, you sound like a parakeet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What do these words mean? Explain it, break it down, build on it. And then go back to the dictionary and then decipher this information. It's kind of like an ancient, and you look at them old martial arts movies, and they'll come to the master to learn martial arts. And he'll show up, the master come out, and he'll go out to fetch water from the lake. And when he go out, this dude will be out there, and he'd be like, what are you doing here at my lake? And he said, I've come to learn from you. You'll come to learn from me, yes. Master turn around and walk off. He'll come back the next day, the dude is still out there. Sometimes, most of the time, dudes will leave, you know, but he'll come out there and a particular person would still be there. And he'd be like, what are you doing out here? I've come to learn martial arts. Standing on one leg. And then the master will walk off. He come back the next day, dude is still on one leg. He like, get these buckets of water and carry them up to the house. You know what I'm saying? Then he'll start putting them through the process. And this would not only be to strengthen a person's will and discipline, but the process would also be to test your desire. You know, because you put in that work for something that you're willing to walk away from so easily. And that's why, like you said in the beginning, the training, the workout was so proficient. That workout was a part of the educational system. It was part of the training, because certain weak-minded people wasn't willing to go through that type of training that we was putting people through. They wasn't willing to do that. But the only strongest people would go through that, and then they also deserve to learn those lessons as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got more to offer. Definitely, there's definitely more to offer. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I absolutely agree with that, because, you know, watching brothers coming out of these cells, and they fired up. Watching these brothers go over these virtues, it's something to witness. And I guess as an educator, as a builder, that becomes something that it's one of the greatest phenomena that you can witness. Yeah. Is watching the brother go from that dull shine to having that light and desire in his eyes to show and prove that, man, I can do this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, some brothers fell by the wayside, and it really did something to their self-confidence. But the brothers don't understand the deeper science, because I didn't know it at first. I thought I want to come out there, recite the virtues. I want to be able to break them down. I want to show and prove that, man, hey, I'm worthy and I need more. But you learn later on the deeper sciences that go into, we ain't gonna get all deep into the high sciences right now, because it's a spiritual thing. You know what I mean? It's a deeply mental and emotional process that actually helps you develop self-confidence and the ability to push past those learning thresholds. You know what I mean? To actually develop a learning curve that'll make you feel graduated, even though you don't really have a degree in any type of college, university. I've sat down with brothers who many years in college and conversed with wardens and regional directors, and they sitting here like, what are you doing in prison? You know what I mean? But this is all from an autodidact. This is all from a homegrown, organic education that came from reading and studying, in the determination and what can I say, the basically the knowledge that I gained through study, through actual sitting down studying, and the ability to control my thinking and produce the words that came from that study, that really gave me the ability to communicate and evolve personally. And it's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So to witness that in brothers, to witness that in dudes who come from slums and ghettos and crack addicted, crime addicted, violence addicted areas, it's, man, nothing's more rewarding than watching somebody come to grips with what they are and how to develop into a higher being. And these virtues are that strength, you know what I'm saying, like that manliness, you know what I'm saying, that mindfulness, that strength that comes from them, man, it's phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Indeed. And another essence, the thing that I think is important for people trying to build, is to understand that balance between mind and body. That's why also I think the training worked so well with the studies. We'll hit the rec yard and train physically and put ourselves through, not just, when people think of training, they think of the average guy doing bench press. That's what the average guy like do some push-ups and, woo, we would train the body. One of my favorite scriptures, and I use scriptures because we live in a Judeo-Christian society. The fact of the matter is, in this society, there's nowhere around it. You have seen or heard the name Jesus, and you've seen a Bible in your lifetime if you live in this society. Absolutely. So it's like Elijah Muhammad said, he said, I go to the Bible because the Bible is graveyard of my people. I go there to dig them up. So I use these terms for that particular reason. But one of my favorite scriptures is I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27. I always remember it because when you think of 9, you think of born, you think of 27 wisdom, you think of 7 is God. So this is where you birth the wisdom of God. And in this scripture, to paraphrase, he says, I beat my body daily and I make it my slave, so that as I preach to others, I myself will not fall short of the goal. So he's talking about his body as if it's something separate from him, as if it's something that he owns, and ownership of it. I beat my body daily. Yeah. I make it my slave. I make it a servant to me. So if he say he beat his body daily and he make it his servant to him, who is really him? Who is the him that's talking? Who is the him who is that POV, that point of view? He's talking about from the mental point of view. I'm really my mind. This body is my servant, and I beat it. I put it through discipline daily. And that's one of the things that we did in the training when we do the burpee nations or the Iron Man suit or put ourselves through these gruesome training. And I done seen dudes say it out here when I done trained with people. I had this real weak dude. He looks strong, but he weaker than well water. He
straight up.
And it's like, what's the purpose of this? The purpose is to train yourself to be more proficient physically than you've ever been in your life. So that nobody can put me through more than what I'm willing to put myself through. But
No
in the
doubt.
process of training the body, you also had a process of training the mind, and you create that balance in them. And if you notice in movies like The Matrix, you'll see the mental training. First thing he does when he wakes up, when he comes out of the Matrix, is they plug him in and they start sending information into his brain. That's the first thing he does. The second thing he does, though, is going to his physical training. He wakes up, and then Morpheus asks him, "Are you all right?" He said, "I know Kung Fu." He said, "Show me." And then they get physical training. You know what I'm saying? So the mental and the physical training go hand in hand. Let me say this on the on the virtue of control of thought, since we were building on it. And it says, we talked about focusing thought constructively. One does this by controlling outside stimuli that one entertains. Things like the stimuli, you just broke that down so eloquently. The stimuli is anything that works on your senses. Anything that works on your sense of sight, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of hearing, your sense of touch, anything that attracts your attention, anything that stimulates you to act, anything that acts on you and causes you to have an emotional response. So then we have to control these things, things like the conversations you engage in, the people that we talking to and what they're talking about. Like you just said, you don't sit up and have a conversation about the never-ending drama of sports.
No doubt.
Have a conversation about the never-ending drama of sports. Let me turn this off. That was my ring. So I got to look at the front door to make sure ain't nobody coming here to take me out the game.
Real.
Okay,
but I've seen that. I've seen brothers who have learned these first, because they get the first two virtues and they fired up. But what happens is that they also start becoming more conscious when they start sitting down having those frivolous conversations. It'll dawn on them the conversations you engage in. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then they'll be sitting around. They'll be quoting the song because in the penitentiary there's very limited music for us. When we were locked up, you got stuck on that radio, and some of these songs got stuck in your head on repeat. So you hear these dudes quoting these songs like, man, every time a song gets stuck in my head, I just start quoting the virtue. You know what I mean? And after a while, I went through I really did a detox for myself. I went years without watching TV. I would watch the weather just to make sure that the rec yard gonna be open tomorrow, or probably be open. But I didn't watch TV for years because I started to understand through reading stuff like Anthony Broader's books, and or the book Brainwashed by Tom Burrell, and it was telling you how these media companies are designed to bypass your conscious mind. So I'm like, damn, if they bypass my conscious mind, they won't control my thinking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Then it's the same thing with the radios and the corporations. But I would watch brothers who they would be so engaged in these frivolous conversations, but after they learn the virtue, you can see them, when they were serious about their study, you can actually see them start to separate themselves from these certain groups that was on, I'm not saying, pop culture is frivolous, because you can learn a lot from pop culture in the times and the direction that the society or nation is trying to take you, depending on your demographic or the group of people that you represent. So, but eventually they'll say, man, I was sitting there, next, I'm 15 minutes into the conversation and it hit me. The conversations you engage in, the music you listen to, what you watch on TV, you start becoming more aware of your thinking just by thinking about thinking. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it used to blow my mind because that's what happened to me. And I built with one little brother. I said, it's all you. I said, because we build on the virtues, and then later on we will build on the vices, which is the opposite of the virtues. And I said, one thing you will always see, it's going to be harder to see in yourself, and it's going to be easier to see in others than it is in yourself. You're going to see brothers who you're going to, after a while, when you learn the virtue, you're going to see that brother's not in control of his thinking. Yeah. That brother is not in control of his actions.
Yeah.
So to watch these brothers to actually start coming to grips with, I'm having a frivolous conversation. And you can see it in their eyes. Once they realize what's going on, they realize that they talking to a whole bunch of puppets and mindless people who are just carrying on a conversation about nothing.
Yeah. And another good thing to add to that, because we got to keep in mind that these was wrote, and let me give this disclaimer, because I said that the 10 virtues originally came from Kemet. The virtues themselves did. The breakdowns was wrote here now. The 10 virtues, control of thought, control of action, steadfastness, is ancient and old. We wrote and gave breakdowns to those virtues, and those breakdowns were wrote in prison. And so it talks about the conversation you engage in, the music you listen to, what you watch on TV, and what you read, without an understanding of what had happened out here. Also, this applies to social media. what you're entertaining on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, because this stuff will send you on a whole nother rabbit hole. This stuff will
Yeah.
have long gone and lost. You can wake up and if you wake up and grab first thing you do is grab your phone and checking for Facebook posts, you'll be lost on Facebook posts and Facebook videos and nonsense, and some of it, most of it be nonsense for hours on end. You'll catch yourself, if you're in a relationship, you'll catch yourself thumbing through Facebook thinking you're a Facebook detective, and you think life is on Facebook, life is on Instagram, life is on TikTok, and we have to make sure that we keep ourselves free from stuff like that too. So that can apply to that applies to that as well. That's one thing that we got to keep in mind. And many of the brothers that build with us.
Oh yeah, because those are things that you engage in. You know what I mean? Those are actually activities that you engage in. What you watch on TV, or what you watch on Facebook, what you watch on TikTok, what you watch on YouTube, what you watch on Snapchat, what you watch on Instagram. It don't stop.
Yeah.
Now, when you use these social media avenues or outlets for something that's beneficial, because there's plenty of beneficial information out there. We are actually in the book of Powernomics by Claude Anderson. He talks about we in the age of information. In the age of information, he breaks down a certain cycle. The age of information turns into the service age, because with the information that you actually learn and start to get knowledge of and actually master, you can produce a service for a cost. So if you're not using these social media avenues as something to get a certain type of information to increase the quality of your life or increase the quality of your thinking, because by increasing the quality of your thinking, you ultimately increase the quality of your actions, and thus you increase the quality of your life. Mm-hmm. But when you watching and doing things that take away value from your thinking, the stuff that actually brings your level of intelligence down with frivolous, fruitless videos, and I don't have anything about having a good laugh or watching some serious news every now and then, but for the most part, I'm not with the trauma bonding. I'm not with the funny post and all this old weird stuff that have you in an imagination world, because I've witnessed a lot of people who see great ideas on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and so on and so forth, but you have not developed the discipline to produce a video. Not only do you not have the means to produce a video, you don't have the determination of discipline to produce a work that even coincides with that level of activity. Starting a business, creating a job, or even doing a certain job. So that's the sad part about it. You are the holder of a bunch of great ideas, but the producer of none. You're the witness of great ideas, but the producer of none. So, it's imperative that you actually determine for yourself the type of stimuli that you allow into your mind, because hey, you have to discriminate against certain ideas, or you're gonna be sitting around. You're gonna be a bump on the log.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back to what I said in the beginning when I first quoted this virtue, is the ability to control your own mind, and we talked about the concept of ownership. Now, and one of the 10 principles of economics is there's no such thing as a free lunch. And if you understand that, think about these social media platforms. They give them to you for free. Facebook, free. Yeah, Instagram, Google, all of it's free.
Yeah.
All of it's free. But there's no such thing as a free lunch. They're not giving you this for free. You know what I'm saying? They're giving you this to take control, ownership of your mind. They're giving you this. People really fear. When I first got on Facebook, I belonged to a group. I can't remember the name of the group. If I did, I wouldn't say it, but I can't remember the name of the group, but it was supposed to be an Afrocentric conscious group. And the group was ran by a sister, and they made some real nice posts. And then Facebook put her in Facebook jail. They restricted her from Facebook, and that was like giving her lashes. Because when she finally got out of Facebook jail, as they call it, when she came back, she changed the name of the group, changed the format of the group. I'm talking about she went to straight nigga mode. I'm talking about they put it in place. And I was disappointed, because Facebook was new to me. I didn't realize that this stuff had that type of control over these people. But that's the purpose of even Google. Google, if you notice, I was talking to a brother not too long ago. He actually thought that the universe was sending him these things. And I had to explain to the brother that it ain't the universe. He said, man, I was looking for something on Google and because I needed something. And the next thing I know, it started popping up on my Facebook. It started popping up on my Instagram. He said, the universe just started sending me what I needed. I said, brother, that wasn't the universe. That's the way the algorithm works. You know what I'm saying? That's why they give you Google for free. That's why they give you Facebook. They monitor anything you look up. They monitor what you're watching on the regular, and then they start sending that to you. And the cold thing about social media is this. Here's the cold thing. Because there's nothing new under the sun. One thing about this society, the people who run this society, these people study human nature. And everything that you see in this society is actually based on the spiritual principle, whether it's corrupted or not. And this is how this is the spiritual principle of the law of attraction. This happens in reality. If you're thinking about something on the regular, if you're speaking on something, if you're moving in a certain way, you start vibrating on a level that bring these things into your reality, that bring these things into your life. So the people who manufactured the internet and manufactured these social media platforms based it off that same principle. Whatever it is that you're watching on the regular, that's the type of advertisements that's coming at you. That's the type of video that's being suggested for you. Those are the things on your feed. What's on one person's feed is not going to be the same that's on another person's feed. You look at one person's YouTube account, like I'll be over a friend of mine's house, look at a child's YouTube account, and you'll see all kind of childish YouTube stuff. And you'll be like, damn, I ain't never even seen this type of stuff on YouTube.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? Look at your YouTube account and all your suggestions are something completely different, but it shows it's where your brain is vibrating on, and that happens in the spiritual realm, in the mental realm. Wherever the brain is vibrating on, that's the type of stuff that's constantly coming into your realm of reality. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so important to control your ability to think. That's why that's
these people have you you hear it a lot now. It's kind of in the pop culture sense, we on the wave. You know what I'm saying? You trying to ride my wave, or we on the wave. You know what I mean? Or we on the vibe. Are we vibing? Well, we talking about waves and frequencies. You know what I mean? So these companies are data harvesting. And it really it's a business model genius. It's a genius business model. Because if I can find out your likes, your dislikes, your interests, and your disinterests, I can produce something. I can produce a wave just for you, and I can start to categorize not only your experiences and your likes and dislikes, but I can actually put you in a group of people like that. Next thing you know, you on a wave with them. You thought you like your boy. The universe just put me in touch with suggested friends. Yeah, they want to click you up with some morons.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's genius. You know what I'm saying? America, this society right here is based on a business model. So if it makes sense and them cents adds up to dollars, let's do it. You dig? So it's important, because you keep on certain things, you keep on liking and certain things, they're gonna produce that wave for you, and you're gonna see it a lot more. Yeah, I start liking all these girls' posts with they shaking it on. I saw I'm getting booty shaking posts.
Yeah.
I need to stop this. My shorty gonna find out we all gonna be dead. For real, we all gonna be dead.
Indeed.
For real. So it's a beautiful phenomenon because it actually allows you to become your own author and finisher of your fate, of your destiny. Mm-hmm. You want some gangster shit? We got some gangster shit for you. You know what I'm saying? You want to learn school? You want to learn economics? We got it for you, but we're gonna give it to you how you want it. You know what I mean? I'm talking. If you want it, we're gonna give it to you. So it's actually allowing you. We're in an age right now where you can actually become a self-master in anything, even the foolishness.
True
indeed. You know what I mean? Even the foolishness. You want it, they got it for you. What did the whole say? You want that ignorant shit? You want that dumb shit?
Yeah.
You got it.
You got it. We got it for you.
We got it for you. So it's imperative that you start actually looking into the things that you really want, because you're gonna get it. You know what I mean? We ain't on no conspiracy theory or the Illuminati, the Masons, the Rosicrucians, the we ain't on that. You know what I mean? We understand the dollars behind these. We understand the dollars behind the cents. We're saying that of course, these people are trying to produce something for you for a profit. So it's imperative that we actually start looking for things that are meaningful and beneficial. And the only way you can do that is controlling the things that you allow into your, you know what I'm saying, and you allow into your life. For real.
Let me build on this before we move to the next one. I'm gonna let you spit the next virtue. I want to build on this before we move on, though, on this control the thought, because I think this is important. This is another part of control the thought that's important to understand is that our thinking is predicated off our paradigms. We have a paradigm. We have a view of the world that we have.
No doubt.
A lot of times you're running to people and you'll find that you can't get things through to them. You'll be saying one thing and they hear something completely different. And you'll be like, what the, who are you listening to? You know, but they not actually listening to you. They listening to their filter of you. You are over there having a conversation. But you think you're talking directly to me and you're not. You're talking to my filter, my paradigm. You know,
yeah.
So you're talking to the paradigm. What you say and what you mean goes into the paradigm. Then I look at my paradigm, not you. I look and listen at my paradigm, and my paradigm is taking everything that you said and gave it to me on my level of understanding.
No doubt.
Yours. And if you're speaking at a higher level than me, then I can't comprehend what the hell you was talking about. And if I see you, my paradigm sees you as a potential enemy or a threat, everything you say to me, no matter how beneficial it is, I'm gonna be filtering it through that paradigm of enemy and threat. So I'm gonna be like, what is his angle? What is he trying to do? That paradigm can truly harm or help you, depending on how you got it vibrating. So one of the things that virtue tells you to do is that you have to question and analyze your current life philosophy. You have to question and analyze and ask yourself, has it been a benefit or a hindrance to your progression? Because your whole reason for existing is to progress. If you let me tell it, your whole reason for existing is to progress, and the highest level of progression is to progress into God's body. So
no doubt.
If your paradigm is not helping you get there, here's a foolproof way to find out if it's helping you progress. Take a look at where you're at right now in your particular situation and ask yourself, am I happy with this? Have I been growing in the manner that I'm supposed to be growing in? Am I in the same place I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Look at that and analyze that. Is these my plans? Are these my goals? If you have no goals, no plans, no vision whatsoever, then you probably got a problem, and it's probably time to reorganize that paradigm. It also that meditation is another key to control the thought. When we think about keys open doors, but how do they do it? Because they go into a lock, and the key is structured in a way that allows it to connect with certain tumblers in that lock. And then they turn those tumblers and to the point where that lock can unlock, and then the door can be open. So meditation is that key that turns those tumblers. And meditation, different ways to meditate. When you first start reading, if you're not a reader and you first start reading, the first thing reading is going to do is put you to sleep. The reason for that is because your brain is so always looking for stimuli that when you slow it down and start focusing on anything for any long period of time, your brain starts equating that to, oh, it must be bedtime. Then over time, you'll beat that and you'll start just being able to focus on those words on the page and think about what those words really mean. Then ideas, meditate on great ideas. But the highest level of meditation is to basically to clear your thoughts and start listening to what the universe is sending to you. One of the worst things that people ever did that mean to be my enemy is attempt to get me to meditate. Because once I start meditating, not only, we in the movie right now. And I use that in the sense of saying that when we in the process of moving around right now, we can't properly analyze everything we see and hear. But when I go into that meditative state, that deep reflection, I'll go over everything that has happened throughout the day, everything that is said. And a lot of times while we're in the movie, while we're moving around, we don't hear it clearly and we don't see it properly. But when you at the end of the day, when you're sitting in that thought and you thinking what somebody said to you and you hearing the clues, and you're like, oh, I missed that. How the hell did I miss that? You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important. It allows you to filter out what other people are saying to you, but it allows you to also to filter out what you are thinking yourself.
No doubt.
And if you ain't got nothing to say on that, we're gonna move to control thought. You got something you want to add to that? Or we
Oh
move
yeah,
I mean,
you must question and analyze your current life philosophy. For years I've turned these virtues over for many years, many years. You know what I mean? Because I've memorized them, I've spit them, I broke them down, and I've taught them to others. So it constantly sends me back to the books to give somebody another angle, another way to see it. You know what I mean? And in the process, I'm teaching myself another way to see it. We understand that the word philosophy is philos, which is Greek for love, and in Sophie, which is the goddess of wisdom. You know what I mean? And we understand that wisdom is an act. Wisdom is literally acting on what you know. You know what I'm saying? Wisdom ain't always something that's wise and intelligent, but wisdom is acting on what you know, essentially. You know what I mean? You must question and analyze your current love of a certain action and ask yourself if it has been a benefit or a hindrance to your progression. Has your smoking, drinking, partying, and bullshit been a benefit or a hindrance to your progression? Has your love of a certain action put you in a rut? Has your love of a certain action put you in a state of progress or evolution? You know what I mean? The love of a certain action is what determines what you get out of it. You know what I mean? That basically that love of wisdom, you know what I mean? That love of a certain act, that is a major determining factor. You know what I mean? So what action have you actually fell in love with that you could actually gauge and say, man, this is progressive. I'm spending $300 a week on drinks. I'm spending $400 every 2 weeks on weed. I'm spending $900 a month on a car, insurance, and a bullshit ass Wi-Fi connection. Man, life's good. Sheesh. For real. So has your love of a certain action, you know what I mean? Just to give you a breakdown of that sentence, you must question and analyze. You got to question it and then analyze it. Your question and analyze your current life philosophy. Question and analyze your current love of a certain action and ask yourself if it has been a benefit, something that's good for you, or a hindrance, something that's holding you back. You know what I mean? Now, if you can answer that honestly, without all the ego and a nigga gotta stay fresh, a bitch gotta stay. No, a bitch gotta stay broken. A nigga need a master. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for real.
That is the highest level breakdown of that sentence that I've heard. That's the truth. That's it.
So definitely, it's been with me for years. I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah.
For real. What action am I in love with? Because I keep on doing the things that you in love with. You start a repetitive process with these things, and through years of memorizing and studying the virtues, repetition is the key to mastery. And you'll see that so many times in the Bible. It tells the same story 100 different times. The story of sacrifice, the story of love, the story of deceit, the story of evolution and growth, the story of caring, the story of hating. It tells these stories in a million different ways, but it's telling the same story. In the Quran, it repeats. It's so repetitive.
Yeah.
Because repetition is the key to mastery. Yeah. So through the constant repetition of going through these virtues, it's like reading all the time or playing chess all the time. You're actually doing it when you're not even doing it.
Yeah.
You start looking at people and you're reading them. You know what I mean? I learned how to read books with intention and in between the lines.
Yeah.
I'm intending to get something out of the book because I want to learn something deeper, and I got to read in between. I got to decipher what the author is saying when he's not really saying what he's saying, obviously. Like you broke down to them brothers the other day about how to hustle and win in ways broke down into supreme mathematics. Yeah. The average person can't see it. You know what I'm saying? But when you read the book with intent and in between the lines, you can actually see it clear as day. So we've read and studied for so many years that when we take our eyes off the book and we look at the things going on around us, we are still reading it.
Yeah, true indeed.
Like the book, you dig?
True
so we'll get to the next virtue, which is control of action. Right. So it's good though. But the virtue number 2, which it's in the virtue. Control of thought is number 1. Control of action is number 2. And to off the head, it's control of action. This is the byproduct of the first virtue. Once you can control your mind, you have captured your body. This also deals with controlling your emotion, since emotion determines the actions of the average man. You must realize that no outside event has an emotion attached to it. Your mind assigns emotion to the event based on repetitive habit. Once you learn to control this process through strength of will, you will have authority of your first kingdom, yourself. The wise man seeks only to control himself. by ruling himself, there's no need to control anything or anyone else. A king will arise from this ability.
True indeed. True indeed.
So
you messed up that last line.
no, arise.
I'm playing.
Well, I was like, what? No, I'm gonna grab my book.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. But
no,
go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the byproduct. This is essentially what happens after you gain control of your thinking. Because now you understand that my thoughts are the ultimate producers of my actions. So understanding that if my thinking is producing my actions, then those two things are synonymous. You know, Brother Psyche, you built on it plenty of times. If your mind is the most powerful tool or weapon in the universe, the second most powerful tool has to be your mouth through speaking, or your hands through building, creating, or writing, or your walk in life. And I'm talking about philosophically, and I'm talking about literally. So it says that by controlling your emotions, this also deals with, once you can control your thinking, you can control your body. And it's like, now for years, it almost plagued me for years, because when I started seeing people actions, I instantly knew what they were thinking, even when their actions were in contradiction with what they thought they was thinking. You know what I mean? Oh no, I did that because it is no. You know what I mean? I can see, by understanding it's like seeing a certain symbol, or a certain, a pyramid, a star, or certain things that we use to signify an exclamation point. They signify certain actions and certain thinking. You know what I mean? And by understanding that every action is rooted in a thought, and then to develop a higher consciousness to see that what you just did not just sporadically happen. Even though you might be a little manic, a little, but I can actually see your thinking by seeing your actions.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, to a graduated way of thinking, sometimes it's scary, because people around you try to convince you that their actions are not a product of their thinking. Oh no, that's not what that's not why I did that. I did that because your explanation is not adding up with your action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it also says that this also deals with controlling your emotions, since emotions determine the actions of the average man. We break down emotions into energy and motion. This also deals with control the motion of energy, since the motions of energy determine the actions of every man. Most men that just are acted on by all the things going on around them. And we see it all the time. I see it all the time. Dudes, next thing you know, dudes over there screaming, laughing loud. Next thing you know, it's a group of dudes over there screaming, acting, laughing loud, because they got attracted to that energy and motion. So if you can determine what level of energy that you put into motion, you know what I'm saying, you actually have to say, I'm gonna give a certain level of thought to that activity to do it in the first place. So this is why it says these things up. This is the byproduct. You know what I mean? Your actions are a reflection of what you're thinking. You know what I mean? If number one is the thought, which is knowledge, I can't see your knowledge, but it's like, I can't look at your forehead right now and say, I've seen every book you're reading. Yeah. No, the knowledge is invisible. The knowledge is the part that you can't see. Yeah. You can only see my knowledge when I put it into motion, which is the wisdom, which is acting on that knowledge. So a lot of times you'll see brothers acting a certain way, and it's based on what you know. Indeed. You know what I mean? So that being the byproduct of that is nature. You know what I'm saying? You saying that you one thing and you are that one thing, or you saying that you one thing, you actually another. Yeah. So that right there, that control thought, control, and these first two virtues, this is probably as far as a lot of brothers make it. Yeah, yeah. So I spend more time with these two virtues than any other virtue besides like number 7, which comes later on, freedom from resentment, because you have to, sometimes I'm like, man, that should be number 1. Yeah, yeah. Because they do. A lot of them go through that. True indeed. I'm gonna add on to that control the action, but I'm gonna start at the end, and then. No doubt. Because the last sentence says, the wise man seeks only to control himself. By ruling himself, there is no need to control anything or anyone else. A king will arise from this ability. A lot of time when we think about being a king, or when people think about control, they focus it all outside the self. No doubt. Because I want to rule everything else. I want to control everything else that everybody else is doing. I want to do that.
I tell people all the time that I recognize control freaks because I am one. The only difference is I don't seek to control you or anything you have going on. I only can seek to control me. That's where I seek to have my locus of control at with myself. That's the
No
only
doubt.
control. I don't want to control your world. I don't want to control your reality. I only want to control mine, and I want to exercise my right to control mine and keep you from controlling mine. Because
Yeah.
control freaks want to control you, and they want to control yours. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
That's why I wrote this sentence like this. Like I said, every word means something. Every word is placed where it's placed for a reason.
No doubt.
It says a wise man seeks only to control himself. He seeks only to control himself, because once he learns to control himself, then he basically gains full and complete power over his reality. As you just sometimes other energy and motion can take you here or take you there. Other people can lead you into places. I just had a situation not too long ago where people attempted to make chess moves on me. they attempted certain chess moves on me. And I can sit back and in meditation, I came to the realization of what the object was, what the goal in the end goal was. The end goal was to cause me to make a horrendous fall. It was to cause me to destroy my life. But they was making these moves based on a version of me that no longer exists. This particular person knew me 20, 30 years ago. And so they was basing their understanding on how to push me, we playing chess, on how to push me to make a certain maneuver based on the me from 30 years ago, not understanding that there has been a drastic evolution and change in who I am today. So those cannot push me to move in the way that person wanted me to. Those moves, actually, now I'm the type of person, especially after my fall, I'm the type of person now that whenever I lose something, all I do is upgrade. I get upset when I lose. And when I lose, it forces me, it wakes me up. And this is something that I've noticed, and I'm going to get back to the virtue. This is something that I've noticed, is that a lot of times when we have victories, I always go back to that Batman, Dark Knight Rises. A lot of times when we have victories, what did Bane telling me
Victory defeated you.
Defeated you. A lot of times we'll have victories, and those victories will defeat us. We'll feel like, man, I'm all right, I'm there, and we'll stop grinding. And then people like the person that came into my life, this was beautiful, because this person knocked my victories out from under me for a small moment. But when I rebuilt, everything came back. This person cost me a job, I have a better job. This person cost me a woman, I have a better woman. This person cost me, this person even took a car from me, and I have a better vehicle than the car that person took from me. Everything that person took from me, I upgraded and everything that came into my life after that became better. And it gave me a deeper level of awareness that made me say, don't get comfortable. But that comes with, as I said, the wise man seeks only to control himself. Once you learn how to control yourself, then you will have no need to control anything or anyone else. And here's a key. It says, by ruling himself, there's no need to control anything or anyone else. It first uses control. Then it uses the word rule. It uses rule for a reason. This is not a ruler, but it has the same concept. It's a tool used for measurement.
No doubt.
It's a tool used for measurement. When we put the rule on something, it means that we're measuring. It means when it says about ruling himself, by putting a standard of measurement on self, by putting that standard on self, by putting that structure on self, or anyone else. Once you have been able to rule, and then it moves to saying king. A king will arrive from this ability, and a king and a ruler are kind of synonymous with each other when you use those. Because you got to understand that the king himself is the ruler, and the king represents the king not only sets the rules, but the king represents the rule. The king is the rule, and the rule is the standard in which everything in the kingdom should operate on and vibrate on. So that's what virtue is talking about when they deal with control of thought. Another thing that we well, you broke down you really broke down the emotions. You really broke down the emotions, and when we understand another thing we have to understand about emotions is that no action, we get in the habit of responding a certain way. We get in the
No
habit.
doubt.
Matter of fact, we don't even respond really. We react.
React. No doubt. Act in.
Of just reacting to everything that happens to us because of these particular habits of emotional reactions that we have, instead of actually responding, instead of taking out the time to realize and understand. I was dating a young lady years ago, and I remember I had to get away from her because she was too damn emotional, and I was trying to teach her how to get out of that, telling her how emotional she was, and she was like, she told me she misinterpreted what I was saying to her, because she was saying, well, if I feel it, I have to act that way. I said, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to act on every fleeting feeling that comes your way. Everybody did that, if I acted on every feeling that I had, I'd constantly be busting people upside their head with baseball bats. No, you can't do that. No, you have to have, you're an adult. You're not a child. So while a child can get away with it to a certain degree, and it's our responsibility to train the child on how to deal with it as adults, we have a responsibility to control our responses to how we feel. And too strong, it can cause too much problems to be running around the world acting on every little emotional feeling, petty feeling.
You know what I mean? No.
We can't do that. We can't do that. You know how many people would be dead if everybody ran around and act on every feeling, every little fleeting feeling that came across them? No.
Oh yeah.
We don't operate like that. So you have to sit back and you have to understand that this feeling, that this emotion, you sometimes you got to analyze, and you got to ask yourself, why do I feel this way? When was the first time I ever felt like this? When was the last time that I felt like this? You know what I'm saying? We have to really ask these questions, and then sometimes we can actually think our way out of this feeling. We can actually look at the feeling and think to ourselves that it's not really that important. It's not really that. And I'm gonna use this example about how we as a species evolved, because God, nature, whatever you want to call it, didn't believe in your intelligence enough to believe, because some of y'all stupid as hell, didn't believe in your intelligence enough to believe that you would do what's necessary to make sure that you survive. And the chief thing for this organism is survival. So there are certain things that just simply programmed in us. Let's say Rich is walking down through the jungle 6,000 years ago. Rich walking through the wilderness. Rich see a bush shake. Rich like, oh, I wonder what's over there in that bush. Rich walks over to the bush. A lion jumps out, rah, slaps half of Rich's head off. Rich somehow gets away and survives. So the next time Rich is walking down 4 years later, Rich is walking through the wilderness. Rich sees a bush shake. Rich catches out running. The same fear that happened with Rich when he got hit by the lion, that the same emotional response. His brain secretes cortisol, stress hormone. His heart gets to pumping fast. His
excuse me.
Testosterone.
Adrenaline.
His adrenaline starts to flood, and Rich goes into fight or flight syndrome. Rich takes out for his life. The same thing happens only because the bush shakes, because Rich has experienced this stimuli before. So Rich's brain evolves an automatic response to this particular stimuli, because the last time he experienced it, it was threatening. What Rich doesn't know is a bunny rabbit jumped out of the bush this particular time, but understanding on how our bodies react. Sometimes you'll meet people and instantly upon seeing them, you'll think to yourself, man, I don't like him. Man, I just something about him. It ain't even him. He moved, said something, or even probably looked like somebody that crossed you before in the past. You don't consciously remember this person, but your subconscious imprinted that particular type of person onto your subconscious mind as a threat or somebody. Same thing with women. Same thing. These things happen, so we have to start being aware of what our emotions are telling us, so we can get a proper response instead of react.
I see that. And that goes with that line that no outside event has an emotion attached to it. Nothing going on outside of you has an emotion attached to it. You assign emotion to that event based on how many times you experience that event or experiencing that event at any time. When brothers used to be, I remember a brother got offended because I told my like, yeah, I don't mess with no Thanksgiving. I don't eat on Thanksgiving. I don't eat on Christmas. Christmas. And it's hard to get across some of these people like, hey, you don't have to buy me a gift. I'm not buying you one. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get a Christmas gift from me. You're not gonna get an Easter card from me. Not because I'm some sacrilegious, atheistic. I said it's just not my culture. It's not what I practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, you know what I'm saying? I remember the feelings that I used to love the feeling when I was a child, when December came around and the tree was glowing in the living room and it was warm and everybody was being nice. On the surface, the emotional assignment that I gave these events going on around me actually dictated my feelings. They dictated the way I felt. And I'm like, wow, just imagine the amount of influence and control that these things had on me simply by the feelings that they gave me. So it doesn't just go for Christmas. It doesn't go for certain events. It goes for people. The only reason certain things have an influence or impression on you is because you assigned emotions to those events. You attached yourself to them. So the hardest thing for us to do is to detach from those things that are not beneficial. We'll assign emotions to people who ain't beneficial. We'll assign emotions to cars and shit like that is draining the life out of us. We'll assign emotions to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all that. And if I have to have it for real. You know, shit. If they say, man, Wi-Fi or read a book, man, most people, man, I'll kill somebody right now for some Wi-Fi. Yeah. What?
Yeah.
For real, I need to log in. I need to check my status.
Yeah.
You know, because I have assigned so much emotion to these things going on outside of me. So now these things are actually the reason why I feel good or bad. You know what I mean? You must realize that no outside event has an emotion attached to it. Your mind assigns emotion to the event based on repetitive habit. How many times have I done this and it made me feel a certain way? Now I'm chasing that feeling. Now I need it. You know what I mean? So, one of the hardest things to do is, especially in the realm of addiction, is to let it go. Is to detox and let it go.
Yeah.
Because it brings you such an emotional high. You know what I mean? So you understand that nothing outside of you really has any importance. The only importance that it has is the importance that you assign to it. So what are you assigning importance to? What are you attaching yourself to? A lot of times we are attaching ourselves to anchors in the sea of life, and we clinging on to the bitch like it's a flotation device.
Yeah.
Let go. Let go. For real. So a lot of times those things that we assign emotions to are really dragging us down. And and to break it down economically, you have to draw the line and say, hey, this is an asset, this is a liability. Which one is adding value to my life, and one is taking value away from my life. So what do you assign your emotions to? Because a lot of us just now, right now, coming up out of these holidays with the new year, I'm talking about, come on, I call it Save America time.
Yeah,
for real. It's time to save America. Starting with Halloween. From Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's. What's next? Valentine's Day, spring break. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I'm talking about. Yeah, I've assigned a lot. I've assigned so much. People have assigned so much energy to this. I'm talking right now. You on your last leg limping. You bought the kids shit that they ain't even using no more. You know what I mean? So your energy bill all high from putting that ugly ass tree up in your living room, having it on 40 days out the year. You still ain't took it down. I'm talking about 80% of the people, if they listen to this right now, if you got any sense, you still got your tree up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You ain't down yet. So the emotional content, the emotional assignment that we put on these things right here have really dictated a large part of our life, and a lot of times not even for our benefit. You must realize that no outside event has an emotion attached to it. Your mind assigns emotion to the event based on repetitive habit. Once you learn to control this process through strength of will, you'll have authority over your first kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Once you learn to control this process through strength, once you learn how to dictate what you put your emotions into, you know what I'm saying? Then you can actually learn that, hey, like in prison. Soon when we start acting up, we get into turn the TVs off. Yeah, take all the games up, lock the doors. Hey, I said, man, I wish they take the TVs out of here right now.
Yeah, true indeed.
I would take it out.
You can say that all the time.
Yeah, take the TV home with you.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it with you. Take the radio too. Take whatever.
Yeah.
For real. You can take the book, but you can't take the knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can take the TV, but shit, hey, I'm still good. Because I've taken my energy back. I've taken my emotions back from that. And somebody, they couldn't live without it. These dudes, I've watched dudes go to lockup because they didn't turn the TV on at 7 o'clock sharp.
Yeah.
I've watched it. You know what I'm saying? And I said, man, especially because I was learning the virtue, I said, no outside event has emotion attached to it. No, but that's different. No, the energy that you assign to that event right there is dictating your actions, which let me know that right there is controlling your thinking. That TV is a major part of your psychology. It's a major part of the way you think. And without it, you know what I'm saying, or when you're lacking it, you start acting a certain way. That has control over you. You know what I mean? So you don't have control of your actions. You're not in control of action, control of your actions, not the actions of others. You know what I mean? But you said that at the beginning, the wise man seeks to control himself by ruling himself, by putting that line of measure, by defining what he will, by defining his limits and borders and boundaries and limitations. He says, hey, there's a line I won't cross because I can only rule so far. My measurements only go so wide, only go so high, and beyond that, that's not mine.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't need to move in that area. You dig?
Yeah.
So, but like you said, it's the byproduct of the first virtue. Also, you improve the quality of your thinking, you can improve the quality of your words, you improve the quality of your actions, and ultimately, you improve the quality of your life. But a lot of times, people we so addicted to suffering that we ain't never wrong. Shit, Uhuru Shule teaches. The Uhuru Shule Liberation School. This right here has elevated and graduated brothers, especially down here in Texas. This is not some nationally known or internationally known phenomenon that, you can go on the internet and just find it and find a book on it. The Uhuru Shule was actually created by this brother right here, Brother Psyche. And this brother right here did a phenomenal job of training and dictating his actions to produce a quality work. And a lot of times I say this brother was under the same counsel and, for lack of better terms, possession of a higher conscience to actually sit down and categorize all these experiences to help brothers grow and build and train to become more intelligent, more capable beings, especially after they left prison. Because, we got these ideas of prison that everybody goes to prison, they start learning, they start reading, they start writing, they start coming, you get sharp. And, I guess those are the glory stories of prison, but that's not the reality of it. It's actually quite contrary to that. The recidivism rate is well over 75%, especially within the first 3 years of release. And if brothers was down there reading, taking their life serious and actually coming up with plans and determining for themselves what kind of future that they wanted, the recidivism rate would not be that high in prison would be practically empty because 3/4 of the people in prison have been there before. So with this phenomenon, this university called University of the Uhuru Shule, it's been nothing short of amazing to watch these brothers grow and see these brothers evolve. Like that became my new addiction. Not only the quantity of it, but the quality of brothers actually learning and growing, which is far and few in between. You know what I'm saying? I've met with more failure in the area of educating brothers than I have successes. But those successes have propelled me far beyond the desire to quit. You know what I mean? Because like I said, we failed a lot. Yeah. It's like more brothers have actually failed at the teachings or failed to evolve than actually brothers who have actually evolved. But the brothers who have evolved and took the teaching serious, these brothers can't be stopped.
That's one thing I used to tell the brother. You remember I used to tell the brothers that all the time, I used to tell them, I said, I have a 95%, how did I used to tell them? I say, I have a 95% quitting rate when it comes to brothers building, but I have a 100% success rate. I told them I have 95% of the people that say they want to do it are going to quit. They're going to walk away.
Yeah.
We only have a 5% dedication rate, but we have a 100% success rate. And then You probably thinking to yourself, how the hell do you only have 5% completion but 100% success? Because only a small, very, very small few have the strength of will to actually carry this out.
No
But
doubt.
the ones who do carry it out, we have a 100% success rate with those who do carry it out. And I always use that J quote when I say this. My little homie told me, "Whole, it ain't enough of us." I told him, "Less is more, homie. There's plenty of us." You
No
know,
doubt.
but let's build on these. Let me put it up. All right, I'm gonna start off. It said, "What do Uhuru Shule teaches?" Number one, we teach that revolution is the natural law of existence. A thing must either change or die. There is no such thing as stagnation. Revolution is a compound word, re and evolution. Re means to do again. Evolution is a process of continuous change from a lower to a higher state, which is growth. Evolution is a natural change that a person may or may not be aware of. Evolution is a natural change that a person may or may not be aware of. Revolution is continuous change that you take control of based on your advanced understanding. And let's see, let's build on that. I ain't gonna break all of them down because it'll take too long. But let's do it. It says that we teach revolution as a natural law of existence. That this is something that's happening naturally as long as you're alive, as long as you exist, whether you realize it or not. A thing change or it's dying. There's no such thing as stagnation. You either change or die. If you think you're stagnated or stuck, you're actually declining, you're actually dying. Try it out. Sit on your hand and don't move and watch what happens to your hand. Watch what happens. It's going to get to the point where you're going to have to cut it off, or that lack of blood flow to different parts of your body is going to start traveling to the rest of your body until it kills your entire body off. So you either change or you're dying. There is no such thing as stagnation. Revolution is a compound word. It's re and evolution. Re means to do again or to bring back. And if you think about that with words like rewind, redo, rewrite, it means to do it again, to bring it back. Evolution is a process of continuous change from a lower to a higher state. It's a natural process. It's growth. It's something that happens. You started off as a sperm that fertilized the egg, the ovum, the egg of your mother. Then you became a zygote. Then you moved to different stages until you was actually born through the birth canal. Then you went from being a baby to a child to an adult. So evolution is a natural process. It's something that's happening, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're aware that it's going on or not. But revolution is a continuous change that you take control of based on an advanced understanding. Once you start understanding, when we say revolution, we're not talking about the overthrow of a government or any kind of violent action. We're talking about a revolution within self. This is all about something that has to take place within inside the self. You have to make a decision that self is the development and evolution of the self is of supreme importance to the point where you have to start taking control of this. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because like you said, it's a natural law of existence. Anything that hasn't evolved in the past is no longer here.
True indeed. Number two, man has a responsibility to himself and his family to use his time to improve himself.
I agree.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
We teach that a man has a responsibility to himself and his family to use his time to improve himself. Now, initially, we were talking about his time while incarcerated, but now, we understand time is time like anything else. It's a social construct. You have to utilize your time like we were building on earlier. If you're gonna spend your time liking and commenting on booty videos and all type of strange shit, that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Now, if you use your time to study information and produce a quality work, then you are using your time to improve yourself. You know what I'm saying? And not only do you benefit from this, but your family and the people around you benefit from it. So ultimately, by using your time to improve yourself, you don't only improve the quality of you improve the quality of things around you. And that right there, that's very important, especially since we live in this old selfish ass age of I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I'll do it when I get around to it. That ain't fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So using your time to improve yourself through reading, writing, exercising, the normal stuff. I tell brother all the time, man, get hydrated. Read something good, eat something good, get some good rest, and do it again.
True indeed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not complicated. But I know some people who won't drink a sip of water without putting something else in it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. God.
I was just telling the brother that not too long ago. This brother, I'm talking about, he got to have something sweet to drink. I'm like, God, you operate like a child. Number three, we teach that life is a series of serious choices. Man is self-made, and life is the arena where he perfects the process. If man uses life as a learning experience, his information base will continuously grow. This will give him greater options for making crucial decisions in the future.
Absolutely. He's a man is self-made. Basically, I read a quote not too long ago that nobody actually finds themselves. You actually create yourself. Indeed. You know what I mean? And, you know, we talk about the rec yard, you know what I mean? But it's really called recreation. And children have recreation because it's where you go to create yourself again. True. It's where you, because, you know, rec is designed to strengthen your physical abilities, you know what I mean? To give you some fresh air, you know, give you some sunlight, you know what I mean? It actually gives you the ability to explore and see things and see other places and communicate and relate to other people. So when you come in, you're created again because you created bonds, you stretched boundaries, or you created more boundaries. So ultimately, you have become recreated. You know what I'm saying? You use recreation as a means to become something other than what you were before you went out there. You know what I mean? So this right here, yeah, this is a beautiful one right here because man doesn't really find himself. He creates himself, and he creates himself based on the information that he puts within himself, and produces information again and again, and he refines it. Then he reproduces it. He recreates it again. So man is self-made, which means he is the creator, the maker, and the fashioner, the author and finisher of what he is to become or what she is to become.
Indeed. And it says life is a series of serious choices.
Man, my
statement, if you understand it. For those of you that love TV, watching and be waiting for your next series of BMF to come out or your next series of Power next week so you can see the next Power, you understand that a series that you have to see that each series connects to the next one in order for you to understand the story. So
no doubt.
Series of serious choices. Every serious choice that you make is what completes the series. It's what makes the entire series of your life. So you have to understand that no choice that you make is some old BS fleeting choice. Everything that you do, every decision that you make, every way that you decide to spend your time will move you closer to or further away from your goals. You have to understand that. And if you don't understand that, then you are failing in the process of being self-made. You're a failure. You know, we talked about it in Control of Thought, that somebody else owns your mind if you're not in control of the process. Number four, we teach the revolutionary pleasure of thinking for oneself. The mind, when applied and free from superstitious thinking, is more than equipped to solve any problem that you will face in life. The mind is as vast as the universe. As powerful as the mind is, it is still limited by inadequate information. Simply put, the mind can only respond with the information that is stored in it. The equation is simple. Only problem that you have in life is your fault. Any problem that you have in life is your fault. Therefore, any solution is your responsibility to discover. Revolution is a compound word made up of re and evolution. The word simply means to bring back, positive growth, evolution. When we say the revolutionary pleasure of thinking for oneself, we are saying the pleasure derived from thinking in a way that causes one to develop in a positive direction.
No doubt. So it starts.
I went to number 5. And I'm
gonna
try to run through these because I got to get on with eating them in a minute. So
go ahead.
We teach respect for our culture, our ancestors, our elders, our women, and our children. He who does not respect his own culture will not have proper self-respect. He who does not respect and remember his ancestors will not have the access to historical lessons. He who does not respect his elders will not have the benefit of experienced counsel. He who does not respect his women will poison the receptacle through which our nation enters the world. He also will never attract a queen who will be one of the most significant allies that he will ever have in life. He who does not respect the children is blindly disrespecting his own future. You want to add on to that, brother, before I move to the next?
You're going to the next one. I love that.
All right.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Number 6, and y'all need to break that down when y'all watching the video. Look at that, read that, break that down, build on that. Number 6, We teach that freedom is the definite major purpose of every conscious person. Freedom is a mental, emotional, spiritual, and economic balance. You know that in the Uhuru Shule teachings, we break freedom down as in its spiritual context, in its mental context, and its spiritual context. The economic balance is added to the physical context. We break freedom down, and know when people think of freedom, they think freedom is just based on I can do whatever the hell I want to do. We build on freedom on a high level because we say that freedom also means that you free the dome. That's the first step to freedom. That the mind has to be free. If the mind is free, and it kind of goes back to a conversation that we was having when we were building on manhood, and me and Brother E had a kind of a disagreement of what freedom was, and my perspective, my point of view, and I understood the brother's point of view, but in my point of view, there can never be any level of freedom until the freedom has occurred in the mind first. There has to be mental freedom first. You have to be able to envision it. You have to be able to see it. You have to be able to actually believe in it and have real faith in it. And once you're able to see that and visualize that, then you are able to actually move to real of real freedom. And that's what it says, that we teach that freedom is the definite major purpose of every conscious person. Freedom is the definite major purpose, not money, not big booty bras, not cars. Freedom is the definite major purpose. You want to build on that, brother?
Absolutely. A lot of times, like one of my sisters said, one of our revolutionaries said, she said, I can't tell you what freedom is because I never experienced it. But I can tell you what freedom is not. And to paraphrase from that, it's basically it's not being dictated to by somebody else. It's not being the victim of some racist, coward society. It's not being limited. Even our sister Soldier, and the way she built on what a whore is, and a whore is essentially is a slave to a prostitute. So essentially, the whore is enslaved to the pimp because she can't determine for herself the ability to have money or have a certain level of freedom or a certain level of confidence. So when you understand that freedom is not just a thing that I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. It's freedom on every level. That spiritual freedom, that sense of peace and calm that comes over you when you understand that I'm a thinking, autonomous being, and I understand the rules and boundaries that I operate within. The physical freedom, like us being out of prison, and the financial freedom to do and buy the things that reciprocate the energy that says, man, that's a good purchase right there, or that's an asset. That feeling right there. So freedom. Just think about what it feels like when you ain't free.
Yeah, true indeed.
Like you built on. To think about what it feels like when you can't pay your bills. It feels like I'm in jail.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I wish I could quote them sisters verbatim, word for word. But we'll definitely build on that more often.
Oh yeah.
But we'll carry on. We kind of pressed for time, but let's go.
Number 7. We teach the 10 virtues of a student. We broke down 2 in the beginning of this video. There are 10 of these virtues, and it was mandatory that brothers had to learn each virtue verbatim the way I broke down number 1, the way Rich broke down number 2. You had to be able to break down 1 through 10. And those are, and there are some that are a little longer. There are some that are a little shorter, but you have to be able to kick all 10 and be able to break them down and actually be able to manifest them through your living. But we teach the 10 virtues of a student, the 7 principles of manhood, which is another beautiful, I guess you could say, code of conduct or principles for understanding your reality. The scales of information development as ways of living a culture of consciousness. The 10 virtues will give a person the proper mind state for learning. The 7 principles are the keys to human perfectibility and to becoming the personification of the ideal of manhood. Lastly, the scales of information development is a measuring tool for recognizing where you and others are currently situated in their careers as builders. These are very powerful tools, actually, when we think about it, and we're not capable of going into them. These things, every one of these things deserve their own videos, actually. Especially, no doubt. I've made videos, which I think that me and Brother Rich will come back and do videos on all these, but I've made videos on the channel about the scales of information development and about the 10 virtues. I haven't done a video on the 7 principles of mind, but these are very, very neat, and especially the skills of information development. It's not for the beginner. It's for the serious, dedicated, disciplined student to understand the skills of information development.
No doubt.
Number 8.
So,
oh, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I know we pressed.
Now we ain't that pressed. You can get in there if you want to say something on it.
No doubt. I'm talking. For years I've studied the skills of information development, and what's required of you when you start studying that is that you have to be honest with yourself, because sometimes brothers will place themselves in a certain category. It takes time to develop to a supreme adept or to even an adept. Most dudes are still in the flower pot thinking that, hey, man, I mastered the science, I mastered the teachings. You know what I mean? Because you mastered the virtues. Brother, there's a whole, there's basically the 7 principles of mind or the science of manifesting God through your character. You know what I mean? It's the science of living a higher principle and always living in accordance to that. And it's not the easiest thing to do, because we live in a society where you should probably do the opposite of mind if you want to make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's another spiritual concept or another idea that we'll build on more in the very near future. We're gonna keep the content is fresh and modern, and sometimes we try not to get too monotone, because we do want to challenge your thinking, but we also want to keep you keep you engaged and let you know that the knowledge works. Like my man said, like my man said, the gods are right, the lessons are true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can carry on.
Number 8. We teach the only way to advance civilization is to share the lessons that we have learned in life. Without this sharing, we will be stuck reincarnating the same mistakes and spend centuries reinventing the same solutions. The primary duty of a revolutionary is to raise consciousness. And
absolutely,
I think that's kind of self-explanatory. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. You think about Europe. I'm gonna go into Europe for a minute, and again, there's deeper knowledge to build on when talking about the concept I'm going to break down. But when you think of Europe, you think of, they tell you Greece and philosophy and mathematics, even though they stole it from the original man. You hear about Greece and the mathematics and the philosophy in Europe. Then you hear about Rome and the great Roman Empire and all of these people and all the great things that they accomplished. Then Europe happened to go into the Dark Ages. You're like, what happened? How did you have all this philosophy, all this math, all this education? How did you have all these great empires, and then you went into the Dark Ages?
Yeah.
Because the rulers had certain levels of knowledge and had certain levels of science and had certain levels of technology in which they got from Kemet, but they had it and they kept it from the populace in order to be able to control and rule the populace. So when you situate that knowledge only in a certain few, when that certain few die, or when that certain few is in a position where the knowledge cannot be continually used, then people are stuck reinventing the same ideas, reincarnating the same concept. They're stuck, and that's how Europeans went into the Dark Ages before the Moors went in from North Africa and into Southern Europe and brought civilization back to them for a second time. But
yeah,
because like I say, that's a whole nother video and a whole nother build and a whole nother discussion. But number 9, last one, we teach a full liberation philosophy through we teach a full liberation philosophy through the Uhuru Shule curriculum. And we'll do a video where me and Rich build on the curriculum. In this program, we teach the science of mind, science of body, science of self-government, science of manhood, science of economics, science of politics, science of war, science of mating, science of building, science of culture, and the science of the modern-day warrior. The goal of the Uhuru Shule is to train the perfect human being.
Absolutely. And that's what we're gonna bring to you. And yeah, sometimes, bro, we're gonna get down to this. Sometimes we're gonna get scientific, sometimes we're gonna go for it, sometimes we ain't gonna go for it at all. But for the most part, we're gonna bring you brothers and sisters some pretty good content. And if you stay tuned, stay focused, stay getting with us, share us, like us, comment, or you can even email us or hit us on the messenger if you want to build on something deeper than that. But we're gonna keep it professional and we're gonna keep it righteous. You dig?
True indeed. Check us out. Like the brother just said, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with as many people as you possibly can, and help the content get out there and help the channel grow. Check us out, Rich Intelligent Media on Facebook. We're gonna be posting videos, lives, things like that on Facebook. So just stay with us. Peace and power.
Introducing them to the virtues was a major determinant of the type of people that I allowed around me, because you couldn't even pull up on that foolishness. You knew I wasn't gonna have no long conversation with you about Lil Wayne and Jay-Z's money. I wasn't gonna argue it down about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj booty contest. No. You wouldn't finna pull up on me and have me talking about 100 years of sports, the never ending drama of NFL and NBA, whatever.